sex offender, a child sex offender, dressed up like a girl, you know, read to those kids. That would probably not be the best thing we could do, and we're sorry. That was great. They nailed it.
Soy Boy Chloe is 110% organic, non-GMO, gender misogynist depression, identitarian.
And there's no need for anyone to think that is unacceptable. We're going to shut them down and work with whoever it is to shut them down, and they should be prosecuted. You cannot intimidate members of Congress.
What's up, Mohammed? I'm not gonna respond to that. I already used too many words. I was told by my handler, don't talk on this because I will shove my foot in my mouth. Just don't do that. Just move on. Just move on. It's dumb. How could you even think that just because I was in charge of policy with the Ukraine as vice president, and just because I actually told the government that if they didn't fire the prosecutor that was looking into the company that my son was involved in, and he was getting paid $50,000 a year, and he didn't know jack diddly dick about this job. How could you think for a minute that was inappropriate, or that I did anything wrong? Even though I sat and I bragged about that. What's going on, YouTube world? SJG perspective. Kind of looking like just got a few people in here right now. Maybe just Mohammed Aloha Snack Bar. Don't know if he's still with us or not. You still out there, Mohammed? No big deal though on this one. I wanted to get a couple videos up, so I am going to get these recorded, and then I will cut them up. Cut them up piece by piece and put them up. So we have some couple things that I wanted to talk about. But yeah, so before we do that, make sure you guys subscribe and follow me on SJG Perspective, on Parler, so on and so forth. So when my day comes up on YouTube, you guys can still find me. I'd really like to start pushing my Discord out to everybody. So I will, good morning, Dunn. I will put my Discord up here in a second. Why don't I get that just up so we can have it? I'd love it if you guys join me on Discord. It's going to be something I use a lot more because I'm just starting to understand the powers of Discord. And it's a great little forum. For those who don't know what Discord is, you can get the app, put it on your phone. And then it's just basically a a way to be notified what's going on, and I can put, you can go in there and chat and whatnot. Make sure this one never expires. I don't ever want it to expire. And no limit. Generate new link, copy it. Okay. So I'll put this one up here in the chat for you guys. If you guys want to join it. And some people are like, I don't know how to use Discord. It's one of the easiest things in the world to use, man. You just download the app. It'll shoot you over an email to whatever email you have. You verify that. You'll open your Discord. And then, you can click on that link. And if you don't have it on your phone, you'll be asked to, I think, install it. But you can install it and then hit that link. Once you have it installed, you can go to one of my videos and they're in the About page. Hit that link, the Discord link, and it'll bring you over to the server. And then it's just a place where we can all hang out and talk. And I want to start doing that to have, subs and, people who follow me. If there's subjects you wanted me to talk about that you think would be an interesting subject, I'm going to have a spot in there where you can add those. And then memes for our Saturday streams that are going to be more sober going forward. Not quite as drunk as last time. That was a terrible hangover. And you can put a meme up that you may want to discuss. Tonight I kind of wanted to touch on a couple things here, and I'm going to try to get through these in a half an hour. That's probably never going to happen. But I think one of the things that I think is so important right now for us to be talking about, not the impeachment, go figure, right? I am so glad this impeachment stuff is done. We're going to still hear about it for God knows forever. We're going to hear about it even after he absolutely, after he wins in November, which will be a landslide. I predict it's going to be a total landslide, worse than last time. And barring some other manufactured crisis and or scandal isn't brought up, I think that it'll be just a humongous. What's up, Rob? How are you, man? Glad you're stopping in to say hello. Yeah, I started my stream, I think, when you maybe still were going, and so I got to get up and for. Oh wow, well then you need to get to bed, dude. You've been putting videos up and streaming all day, man. But yeah, I think I started when maybe you were still going. So, but now all your people are. We share a lot of people, so all your people are worn out now. They're like, I'm going to bed. They got their fill with Rob. Anyways, forget what I was saying right there. The impeachment stuff. So, I mean, we're going to continue to hear about that, but I'm so glad he's acquitted and he's done with that. But, I've been thinking a lot lately. If you guys have been following me, you know that I've been talking a little bit about this, that I'm realizing we're so distracted as a populace right now, and that's by design. We're so distracted with, the things of like, and I was yesterday, and I was so pissed when, like, for instance, Nancy tore up the thing, right? What a twat move that was. It's just like, oh my God, that pissed me off so bad. And then it's trending on, Twitter and we're talking about that, and we're talking about how Trump snubbed her handshake, and which I thought was hilarious. But it's like we're caught up in the weeds constantly now, and it's by design for distraction. So we're not talking about the big things like big tech censorship. That's kind of a thing I want to, touch on today, or things that really matter, like what's happened with the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. Why is that still just going away, or why hasn't that been? It's not just going away, but why isn't that still mainstream coverage? Of what Jeffrey Epstein. By the way, we're going to touch this article later, but did you know that his bank account came alive today or yesterday, and $5 million was transferred in and then disappeared out of his bank account? That's weird. It's weird how bank account can just all of a sudden get money and put into it, and then it can just disappear. So it kind of makes you wonder, right? But then also with the big tech censorship, we're like, Project Veritas, James O'Keefe from Project Veritas, he was canceled from Twitter because he was raising questions about the Iowa caucus. But that was probably an excuse, one of the excuses, because they have so many other reasons why they hate him, right? But oh no, Robert, don't worry about it, man. I was just kidding, dude. Yeah, no, it's totally fine. I actually think you ended it before I had started mine, so it's all good. But at any rate, there's so many things we're in the weeds on, and I feel like we need to get a bigger picture of stuff going on in the world. Really dig into who really pulls all these strings. Who's really pulling all the strings? And I used to be really into the, looking at the, and people have probably heard me mention this quite a few times recently, but I used to be big time into like the CFR, right? Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission and the Bilderberg stuff and all the stuff that went with that, the 9/11 inside job stuff and the chemtrails, which people used to mock me. That's so hilarious. You think those are chemtrails? Those aren't chemtrails, or contrails. And now it's been proven that they are in fact chemtrails, and that they are in fact spraying them, and that they are in fact having patents on them. And then they have all these really wonderful reasons why they're doing it, right? It's because they're helping the environment and they're trying to reflect sunlight because the sun's too hot, and all these other reasons why. But now it's out that no, we actually are spraying barium and strontium and aluminum particulates into the air, and that's what we're doing. And and there's a whole, anyways, not to get on that one. My point is that all of that used to be laughed at, and now it's real. People are realizing, wow, no, there really is something to this. There really is something, and I feel like that's where the rubber really meets the road on making a difference, on having a voice and sharing these things, not to constantly walk around with a tinfoil hat on. Not saying that. I'm saying though, but we can have our eyes opened to what's really happening and what's really matters in the world. And so that we can make a difference, because that's one of the big reasons, getting back to the whole tech censorship, they have figured out a way to circumvent the Constitution, essentially, with First Amendment rights, and for that matter, Second Amendment rights. Big tech, where they can put pressure on banks and whatnot to where you can't, they can essentially put gun manufacturers out of business, or they can make it so people can't buy guns, right? Even if they're still legal to have. If you can't buy them, what's the point, right? I mean, things like that. That big tech, how they censor us, how they've, we're going to read an article, but he touches on this, and this is an analogy I've used quite a bit, is the old analogy that talks about how, what's up, Richo? Good to have you here, man. It's night. In the Bible, it talks about those who don't get the mark of the beast won't be able to buy or sell. Well, whatever you think about that one way or another, right? It's interesting how we're seeing that played out with, your political standing or your political beliefs, how they are progressively, we're coming into such an totalitarian ideology and the powers that is getting so lopsided with the establishment, right? And call it, I don't want to say the Illuminati has been so burnt out, but you know what I'm saying. What's up, Kenneth? He says, I'm banned on Twitch, so I can't comment. Well, come over to YouTube, man. Or are you banned on YouTube also? Or D Live, dude. You could go hit me up on D Live, Kenneth, if you are wanting to get on the comment train. Comment train. You can follow me on D Live. Same thing, SJG Perspective. Anyways, all of this stuff, man. It's just, that's where I really want to. And Kenneth is actually a guy that I'm going to start talking about some of these kind of things with. He's kind of, I guess, I haven't actually talked to him yet, but we've talked on Discord. Coming back to Discord, he's one of the Discord guys, and I guess he's a little bit of a guru when it comes to some of the stuff. So I'm interested to dig in with him on some of these deeper, esoteric, conspiratorial, deep state, establishment, powers, and the powers that be, rather, and what the strings they pull, right? Call it conspiracy talk, call it whatever. I don't consider it conspiracy talk anymore. I consider it censored or, frowned upon talk. And that, you know, you do get labeled the conspiracy theorist, but just because it's a conspiracy don't make it not so. Just remember that. Anyway, I wanted to read this article. I thought this was a really good article. And let me get it up here. That's what she said. Oh, dang it. I did that the other night and I haven't fixed it yet. Let me fix it real quick. Like, we only got like not very many people in here, so not a big deal. So bear with me. There I am. And I want to try to make that a little bit bigger. Like that. And then put my article window behind my guests and behind. There we go. No, this is not what I wanted to do. I want to put my article window above it. So why is that not? Sorry, guys. Should be behind it. Unless my article window is not that one. Why isn't that going behind it? Anyway. Yeah, my stupid thing's screwing up on me for some reason here because that should have closed it and didn't. So, anyway, we'll just go ahead. Sorry, doesn't look the best. My thing's supposed to be behind it, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, let's read this article. This one says, deplatformed how big tech companies in corporate America subvert the Second Amendment. And it's not just the Second Amendment. It's all of the amendments. It's it's really the First Amendment, if nothing else, man. I mean, first and foremost. So, Ken Milo. So you can just, it's true too. You can just comment on there, man. It makes no difference. You just won't be able to see what other people are saying. Anyways, oh yeah, you will, because you're watching it. My bad. Okay, let's jump in here. Twitter permanently banned libertarian financial website Zero Hedge from the platform on Friday, January 31st, after it published an article questioning the involvement of a Chinese scientist in the outbreak of the deadly coronavirus. So as I go through this is also touching on some of the other things that I wanted to talk about, like on the coronavirus. So I think maybe we bounce back and forth instead of just doing all one and then coming back. So I'll just see if I can leave that highlight right there, and then we'll bounce back over to here. Nope, that's not the one. That's the one about the gays. So I read this article a few days ago, right, talking about the coronavirus. Now, this is tying in again to Zero Hedge getting banned, because Zero Hedge, and I'll just give you because I don't think I have that article up. Zero Hedge basically came out and wrote this article documenting how some scientists, I believe that were in India, maybe some scientists from another country had saw that the coronavirus, after looking at it, we've touched on this if you've been with us, had some markers that showed HIV markers in it, which incidentally also, or interestingly, prior to this information coming out, they were talking about how some HIV medication actually helps treat the coronavirus. So it's all that kind of stuff that makes you kind of go, wonder what that has to, wonder what the connections there are. So they post this, right? Sorry for the pop there. They post this, has Zero Hedge with 650,000 people on their Twitter, and they get banned. And you know how we've been told right now, the official, I'm going to see if this helps if I go off and then I come back. The official story right now is that there's only 26,000 or 20,000 infected. But this was several days ago. I was reading this article, and it was saying, maybe I'll just make myself smaller there. Not that important. And I'll come down here. They were saying that only 20,000 right now are allegedly or supposedly infected. Well, I was reading this article, and this article's back from February 1st, so a few days ago, that said 75,000, right, had been infected. And then I read, so that's like, wow, that's way more than what they are saying is infected. At that time, it was, 20,000 or something. And the death toll on this one was, right now they're saying the death toll is 500, right? Let's see. It says the coronavirus is just a psychological so some of this stuff right here is interesting to me because they're talking about how the story we get. Sorry, I got distracted for a second. The story we get is that the coronavirus is 500 dead and 20,000 now are supposedly infected, right? Well, then I read this a few days ago. 75,000 are now infected with the coronavirus, according to medical experts in Hong Kong. I'm not going to read this whole article because I want to read this one. So that one I've been meaning to get to and cover. And then I read this today from Daily Mail that says, have real coronavirus deaths figures been leaked? Chinese conglomerate lists death toll at 24,589, but quickly changes to official numbers, sparking wild conspiracy theories. So we're going to get back to this, right? I'm going to touch on this and I have a good comment here I will read. But the point is, Zero Hedge was reporting on some of this stuff, getting back to our story here on the censorship stuff and how big tech likes to censor people. And so Twitter just made them disappear, All right, so we're going to get back to the coronavirus, so stick around. I have a lot of good things to say on that, so stick around on that. But going on, it says, anyone familiar with the Bible, this is kind of what I talked about, is familiar with the mark of the beast. Without this mark, no one can buy or sell. Regardless of one's religious faith or lack thereof, there is an illustrative case in this biblical story. And this is what I've been saying this for years, man. When one cannot buy or sell, one is metaphorically up the creek. Short of producing everything one needs for oneself, buying and selling are necessary parts of virtually every modern person's life. We would all agree that unless you live out on the farm and you have everything you need to live, which I think would be in some ways really amazing, you have to buy and sell. In our modern world, we can begin to see a sort of mark of the beast. While ideas and even objects aren't banned, they are increasingly difficult to come by. Not due to government fiat or currency, but due to the machinations of corporations hostile to American values and of freedom. One can be in favor of the free market while recognizing a simple truth, which I am. I'm all about capitalism and free market. I am all against corporatism, though. Big government and corporatism and big business, right? And corporatism. I think that is not capitalism. I think that absolutely screws us. There is no way that American founding fathers would have sat on their hands while 5 corporations dominated American discourse and commerce. It's hard to imagine, for example, the founding fathers suffering a single private bank processing most of the payments in the United States and refusing to do business with gun merchants, as an example here. Alternately, one can scarcely imagine that the founders would have sat still for 3 companies, all of them hostile towards American values and the Constitution, dominating political discourse and deplatforming anyone who opposed them. Think about what Twitter does and what Facebook does and what YouTube does and what Apple does and what Amazon, you don't really have but you get my point. These big tech companies that have become the public square, and I didn't say that, Jack Dorsey did, and I believe Mark Zuckerberg, for all intents and purposes, has literally said, these big tech companies, these communication companies are the new public square, and they control them. The government doesn't control them. They control them. They arbitrarily decide who's going to get monetized and who isn't. I was just reading another article tonight talking about how, and we know it because Drone Tech, American Joe, all these other big time or big channels that have a lot of subs, they've been getting screwed with on financially on their monetization, right? They get screwed with these things. So it is all up to YouTube, all just deciding what YouTube wants to do. They just decide they're not going to they're going to demonetize videos for the first couple days, first 48 to 72 hours, until everyone's watched them and then they give them their monetization. It's a soft ban, if you will. It's a way to discourage providers or content creators. It's a way to take control of that. So it is anyways, it's what they're doing. It's not even a question. Although we are, when we raise it, considered the conspiracy theorists when we say that conservatives are getting shadow banned. They're getting, look what Steven Crowder proved with his channel, right? And how they were and he's got the deep pockets enough to push back on him. But what they did, look what they did to Gavin McGinnis, right? How the SPLC, which is the fact checkers for Facebook, and I think also for YouTube and some of these other big tech companies, who give them to say this person's okay and this person's not. Look what they did to him. They got him banned. They got him canceled. Think of all of the content creators, so many of them that have been canceled. And I don't have the list in front of me, but the list is long of those who have been canceled because of wrong think, because of wrong speech. And they can effectively silence this public square if you don't line up with what they say. We know this. This is a huge problem. This is a huge problem, and this is something that I would like to see. And I am for small government, and I don't want the government getting involved in matters of such as these regulating private companies. I'm against that in a lot of ways. But I think in this scenario, when it's something that the founders never could have saw, that it's something that not many people 20 years ago would have understood was going to be what it is, that there needs to be some amendments, there needs to be some adjustment to this, because there's so many people getting screwed by people who have a different ideological bent than someone else, and they have all the power, they have all this power they wield, but yet they are a relatively small minority. They're equally not, they're not the majority. I'll put it that way. They're not the majority, and yet they have the majority of the power when it comes to who they can censor and who they can't. So it says, this is a situation in which we find ourselves as a nation today. Guns are not illegal, but private companies will make it increasingly difficult to buy them, sell, or own them, up to and including pulling your bank account. You have all the freedom of speech you like, but prepare to be deplatformed or have your voice buried by a large tech corporations with their thumb on the scale of American discourse. As the American economy has become more corporatist, such that the market is controlled by the interrelations between monolithic mega corporations, Wall Street and the state, and less capitalistic dynamic in American press and economy are now being dominated by forces hostile towards the American public and American values and the Constitution, quite frankly. These are being dominated by people who have been brainwashed for the last 20 and 30 years coming out of these colleges that are complete and total left-leaning, hardcore progressive leftists that are now running most of these companies. So of course they're biased in their opinion and in their political viewpoint, and of course that's going to affect their company, right? The shitty part is their companies have so much power over American people, and we're so dependent. We've become so dependent in the sense of our speech, right, or our expression on these companies. And so that's where therein lies the rub of the trouble we're looking at. Yes, I agree with you, Paula. Free speech. No less an authority than James Madison warned Americans that the First Amendment alone was not enough to protect free speech. In the Federalist number 47 and the Federalist number 51, he argued that the separations of power was necessary to protect free speech from preventing one branch of government from accumulating too much power at the expense of the other. Indeed, the rest of society at large. This is an important point to remember when considering the First Amendment implications of big tech and its war on free speech and gun freedom. The Founding Fathers did not live in a world where a few large corporations had more power than the incredibly limited in power impoverished government had, either at the federal or at the state level. It's doubtful that they could have conceived of such a thing when the corporations would have essentially more power than the government. But they did carefully consider the problem of centralized power. They just didn't consider it that it would be in a corporate hands. They figured it would be in governmental hands. As it pertained to the rights enshrined in the Constitution, at the end of the day, the Constitution is just a piece of paper with no ability to enforce itself. What's more, if the founders did not address the notion that the private sector could meaningfully and substantially circumvent rights for all Americans, it was simply because they could not conceive of such a thing, not because they were writing the private sector a blank check. So that's kind of one of the first opening segments I wanted to talk about, because these other things I'm going to talk about kind of tie into it. Man, my stupid thing is not working like it's supposed to be working, and it's ticking me off for some reason, because this is supposed to go back to just me. Jeez. So it probably needs to be restarted, but I can't restart it. But anyways, doesn't matter. Yes. So I wanted to I wanted to just make that point. I'm looking at this camera because my other camera's not working right. That big tech censorship, we can't forget about that, and we can't get tired of talking about it and pushing back on it. We can't. That's something more important. That goes to the establishment. I mean, you talk about these Bilderberg guys, right, and these CFR members and these Trilateral Commission guys and these people that are in league with the establishment of globalism, right? This, and I don't want to sound like Alex Jones, like, oh, the globalists are getting us. It's about the globalists. Because I think it's been watered down, that term. There is a movement, and there has been a movement for decades upon decades to get rid of national sovereignty and bring in a global governance. That is a fact. It's not a tinfoil hat conspiracy. It's fact. It's fact they don't talk about that much, or that they try to keep us distracted with, like I was talking about earlier when I started this. Distractions. Let's distract. Let's keep everybody distracted. Let's get on our phones, right? Let's read our sports, scores. Let's listen to the latest bantering between the left and the right. And I do it. I do it myself. I think it's important to touch on those things too, to bring some perspective to those things too. I'm not saying that isn't something we should talk about, but that isn't all we should be thinking about. We should be thinking about how deep does this rabbit trail go, and where should we be pushing with our voices to make a difference, or to make other people aware at least. That's what I'm talking about. So it's an absolute, I lost my train of thought. I was going on that, but this mentality is bigger than we remember or we think about, is my point. And we need to keep it more forefront in our mind that that these Mark Zuckerbergs and Jack Dorseys of the world want they don't want a national. I know where I was going with this. They don't want that national. They don't want nationalism. We gotta destroy nationalism. So why do you think Trump? Here's one of the things I keep thinking about that brings me back. Why do you think Trump is so hated? What is he trying to do? Allegedly. What does he say he's trying to do? And I believe he's trying to do it. But what does he talk the most about? He talks the most about America first, national sovereignty, making America great. It's the exact opposite of what the establishment, the globalists, George H.W. Bushes of the world, the Bill Clintons of the world, the Obamas of the world, for that matter, the Reagans. I mean, pretty much all of them of the world. I mean, you go back. I don't know how much JFK was. I feel like I need to do more research on this, but JFK wasn't so much. He was one that was warning us about it. Look what happened to him. All of the presidents before were completely part of this establishment. Have deep roots in the CFR, in the Trilateral Commission, in the Bilderberg Association, right? All of them are connected to that stuff. Trump's not really. In last year, his son or, I think it was either Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, and Pompeo actually went to a Bilderberg. But there's speculation on why they were there. Like, were they there to start, maybe to even push back? I don't know. Or they were requested because they were asked to get Trump on a leash, because Kushner is a leftist. He is a globalist, actually. Pompeo's an establishment guy. So, Trump actually hasn't gone to it yet. Obama went to it. Clinton went to it. Hillary's been to him. All of this stuff, right? So Trump's actually never on paper that we know of ever been to these. So my point is this. He's a nationalist. He wants to get us out of these things. And these other companies want to these other people want to get us involved in them. And that's because that's the powers that rule the world. You can call them the people at the Skull and Bones, the Illuminati, the Bilderbergs, the CFR, it's the deep state, the military-industrial complex, whatever you want to call it. It's a global, intercontinental organization that does not want sovereignty of one nation. So that is why these globalists are pushing so hard to drop the sovereignty of America. Because that's the only way you can usher in these new, dominance and this new world order. That's the only way you can do it. So, anyways, let me read a couple things here because I do want to get back to this coronavirus, which I thought was, and it's already 11:15. I started too late. It's hard for me because I work all day. So then I gotta try to think of some things I want to talk about, right? And then by that time it's late because I got family duties and whatnot. So I apologize. But I wanted to jump back over to that. So big tech censorship. I think it's something we need to be paying attention on. Now I want to talk into a little more specifics on like what's really going on with this. So I have a couple things here from somebody who's been a friend of mine that I'm going to actually, he's in my Discord, that I'm going to be doing some stuff with here. But he had some good stuff. He said, yeah, esoteric is the right word. There's conspiracy fact, and then there is misinformation and psychological warfare. There's a huge difference. They believe in this stuff. Calling us conspiracy theorists is an achievement in my view. You've hit a nerve. Yeah, it's exactly true. I know you've read this, but why don't you read it live and see what the reaction? Okay. The coronavirus is... this is a very good point, what I'm about to read. The coronavirus is just a psychological operation to spread fear, and the end goal is to split up human contact in general and using it as an argument for destroying your human rights in terms of vaccines. The Nuremberg Code, destroying the notion informed consent and your rights to decide for yourself what goes into your body. This extends to nanobot chipping, NFC chips, for tracking of monetary social credit for the purpose of mass surveillance and intelligence gathering, and control of human behavior. Goes into privatization of government. So it goes into privatization of government. That's very true. Actually, assets, functions, technocrat. I can't speak right now. Technocrat. I can't speak right now. It's too late. Technocracy. That is underway. This sort of financial transaction is going away, and that's when you're seeing the destruction now. That's funny when a lot of us companies support the Nazis, guns, tanks, and gunpowder. Yeah, and like Milo also said here, is he said it's in complete contradiction. All of this stuff is that we were talking about before is really in complete contradiction to what the Constitution, to the Constitution. One world government, one world religion. Our current Pope has started to implement that plan. One currency, one hive mind, and these kinds of levels. Politics are not partisan. It's more of a family feud. They can't agree on how to implement their plan. That's a good point. I do think, though, when I hear about these things, or when we talk about these, I do go, every time it's like Trump really, and I don't know every policy decision. I know some of the policy decisions he's made I don't agree with, right? The progressing or flirting with war, with Venezuela, with Syria, with us posturing up with China, for that matter, because we've been flexing our muscles in the South China Sea, when it came to Iran, and all of these other countries, it's not like they're the beacons of they're the Mother Teresa's and we're the big bad wolf, and so we should just leave. That's not why I'm saying it. I do think that the deep state and whatnot is the big bad, has been the big bad wolf, but I don't think that is who necessarily all conservatives are, or all Americans are, not just even conservatives, all Americans, and or what Trump is. Now, I could be proven wrong. I don't want to be. But I feel, and I'm worried to be, because as I start to dive more into these rabbit holes, if you will, because this is what's interesting me right now and getting my attention, this esoteric, conspiratorial kind of, that's actually truth, right? It really is the truth. And not enough people are talking about it because they're scared to be called conspiracy theorists or get demonetized. Well, I don't care if you call me a conspiracy theory, and I also am not monetized, so it doesn't really matter. So I don't have much to lose. But anyways, I think that's what's the most important thing that we think and we talk about right now. So reading some of those thoughts that I think are good thoughts from Milo too. What is the real story on the coronavirus? And I've known from the get-go that we weren't getting the right story. There was way too many quinkadinks with the Johns Hopkins University in October that they had this with Bill Gates. And anytime you hear of Bill Gates, know that there's something nefarious around. That guy's not a God-given, glorified philanthropist that just wants to help the world. He wants to depopulate the population by billions of people. He's the Ted Turners of the world and these other guys who own some of the most land in the world, and yet they want to depopulate the world by 2 or 3 or 4 billion people. These people aren't our friends, right? So when he's saying, hey, I want to save humanity and I want to help humanity and I have vaccines, and you've got to go, whoa, I don't trust you. You don't have my best interest in mind. But when you take into account when all this coronavirus happened, right, and then the Netflix special came out, and all of these leaks were coming out of China about people dropping dead in the streets and about nurses crying and breaking down and people saying, what's going, that the situation was much worse. And then China cracking down on its people and saying, if you don't parrot the official story, you could be put in jail for up to 7 years. When all this stuff's happening, we're getting conflicting reports coming out. Like the other one I read where it said 75,000 people were now infected, when the official story at that point was that there was 15,000 people were infected. And the official story we're being told right now is 500 or 600 people are dead, and now up to 20,000 people have been infected. That's what came out today, somewhere in that range. But then it's also it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't have that big of a kill rate. There's only one out of 10 basically was what died from it. And it's mostly old people or people with compromised immune systems. That's what we were hearing. But it's wall-to-wall coverage, and the pandemic's getting thrown around. And I'm sitting back going, yeah, but don't 50 to 80,000 people die from the flu every year? So why are we freaking out right now? And there's a handful of people that have died. I mean, that's sad for those people that died, but why are we freaking out? Something doesn't make sense. And then all of a sudden, Zero Hedge, like we talked about, going back to big tech censorship, they get censored for dropping a story that wasn't correct, right? And then James O'Keefe, he also got censored today because he was on a different subject. He wasn't calling out the corona, but he was calling out what was going on in the Iowa caucus, right? But anyways, back to the corona. It just didn't make sense. And I've been saying since from day one that we're not being told the full story. They said it was a bat soup or that it was out of this market. Then you find out in 2015 that there was a biolab in China that was actually, studying bio warfare, viruses and, all these different things. And they were studying this. And that's when it came out of the very city that this place came out of, or that this virus came out of. All of these things have better make your brain start going, why is this? Why are we being told this? Does that not make sense? So then today, I believe, yes, Wednesday, February 5th, so let's read this article. I haven't read it yet. Have the real coronavirus death figures been leaked? Chinese conglomerate lists death toll at 25,000, but quickly changes to official numbers, sparking wild conspiracy theories. There's the conspiracy world again, the C word again, the conspiracy word again. We're just the conspiracy theorists. And sorry, I'm not reading your chats right now, guys. I'm trying to stay on task with reading these, but I'll read them before we go. But it says Tencent, Tencent China, that's funny. Tencent China's second biggest company has an epidemic situation tracker. Screenshots purport to show leaked figures of the conglomerate website. Lists death toll at a staggering 24 death toll, 24,589. And this is what, in 2 weeks? That this is really, I mean, I think it started in December, first part of December, but really when it got leaked, or when people started paying attention, was back in January something, so 2 or 3 weeks ago. If this is true, that then makes sense of why they're freaking out. If 25,000 people have died in 3 weeks, now I don't do the math on that, but 3 goes into 52. How many times? How many times is 300? Well, it doesn't even matter because it would exponentially increase, right? If this is true. But that would match the panic coming out of China and those leaked videos, right? That would match the panic that we heard and we saw in leaked videos. That would match the panic of China. That would match the panic of China saying if you leak anything other than the official story, you are going to be imprisoned for 7 years. That would match the pandemonium. I keep cutting out or spiking. I'm sorry. That would match the pandemonium that we have been wall-to-wall coverage on this. That would match these things. That would make sense, right? If it was more like 25,000 people have been killed and 154,000 infected. Tencent, the second largest company in China, may have inadvertently leaked the true extent of the coronavirus death toll as more than 24,000, vastly higher than the official figure. It comes amid widespread speculation that the Communist Party in Beijing may be suppressing the ravages of the deadly flu-like virus. Tencent, a multinational tech conglomerate, reportedly listed figures for the coronavirus on Saturday showing 154,023 were infected and 25,000 of them were dead. And then that would also give you a rate of, what is that? 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. So, I mean, that's like what? Not 20%, 15% death rate. Is that right? Something? About 15%? 10% would be 15,000. So, yeah, about 15%. I can't do the math right now, but I think it's about 15% death rate. More than 10 times and 80 times the official figures, respectively. Tencent's website titled Epidemic Situation Tracker was swiftly updated to reflect the official figures of 14,000 infected and 304 dead. Well, this was a few days ago because now, like I said, it's up over 20,000 and 500 dead. So it is increasing pretty quick. So let's see if I can open that up bigger. Yeah, we can, except I'm in the way here. God dang it. Why won't that do that? I guess you guys don't need to see me that big. It's supposed to stick it behind it when I put it there. That's what she said. If I move my camera, if I move my window on top of it, let me try this. Nope, it still didn't work. Okay, forget it. Oh, now it's not. It still works. Son of a bitch. What window is this? Oh, I have that on guest window? Oh, that's why. It's labeled wrong. I'm truly an idiot and I'm sorry. I screwed that up real bad, like. Okay, that's better, though. Anyway. Okay. So as you can see here, it shows down here, and I don't read Chinese, but can you guys see my cursor? You can't. Why can't you see my cursor? Okay, lower left-hand corner, it says 154-023. The date is on February 1st, 2020, and the dead is 24,589. Then on the right side, it says that there's 14,000. You guys can see 14,446 have been infected, and this is on 6/0. So this was on the 1st. This is when that was put out. at 23:39:04. So at 11. So at 11 o'clock, almost midnight, they put that out. And then they let that go a whole day until 4 o'clock the next day. That isn't promptly. So we don't know if these two are, if this isn't, I don't know for sure if this is legit, it could be a fake, right? It could be a fake. But if it is if it is true, it makes way more sense. The other erroneous or leaked figures posted included 79,808 suspected cases, 4 times the official number, and the number of cured cases at 269 rather than 351. China's Communist Party has been accused of underreporting the official figures and cracking down on medics who have attempted to reveal the truth. China on Thursday reported the death toll from the coronavirus had risen to 73 to 563, with the number of confirmed cases jumping by 3,694 to 28,000. Oh, I'm wrong. So the official is 28,000 now are infected. The majority in and around Wuhan. Most of those who have died were in that region, but officials have confirmed multiple deaths elsewhere, including the capital of Beijing. Let me see here. Says a lot of dead bodies are not counted. It hasn't been proven that they were infected yet. This is due to the overload of the morticians, labs overloaded with tests and exactly. That's the other great point, Milo. Even 20,000 would be too much for most places. Yeah, exactly. I mean, so it makes you wonder, like, what lies are there? What lies are we being told here? And you're absolutely right that they are. I heard that story too earlier that some people they weren't contributing the coronavirus to the death. So I don't know. It is crazy. Let's read a little more here. But there have been reports from crematorium workers in Wuhan, the epicenter of the virus, that are being sent. They are being sent corpses not added to the official tally. They're just burning those bitches. Meanwhile, hospital staff have leaked videos purporting to show dead bodies strewn across ward corridors in Wuhan. And a doctor, 34-year-old Li Wenliang, earlier this week came down with the virus himself after he was cautioned by police for informing his colleagues at the start of the outbreak of SARS at the Wuhan seafood market. In addition, China has been critical of countries like the U.S. for taking what it believes that are extreme measures and barring its people from migration, setting further dichotomy between the Beijing wants the world to believe and what the fact is. The U.S., Australia, New Zealand, Italy, Taiwan, Vietnam have all banned foreigners crossing through their borders, as they should, and countless airlines have decided to halt flights from the country. They absolutely should be doing that. And they are just suited to the hilt, so they're freaked out about this. Now, if you take into account those stories that were leaked about how it could be, HIV could be woven into it and whatnot, or some element of an HIV virus could be woven into it, it really kind of gets your attention a little bit. Like, at first I thought, oh, this is just some test run, or this is a bunch of BS. It's nothing to, why are we freaking out? There's not that many. But I did also think from the beginning, there's something we're not being told. They're only going to be able to keep this contained for so long, right? The information, because now you have every sleuth in the book that's trying to figure it out, right? And I mean, I went to some of this. I went and watched. I need to get there on my other computer, but I went and there was this like leaked videos or something.com, which I couldn't watch half the videos on there because it's like all kind of crazy, like faces of death stuff. Maybe that's too old for some young people on DLive or whatnot that are watching. But Faces of Death was back in the day before we had the internet. You would rent these videos and it would just show people how dying gruesomely. Now you can just get that anywhere. But yeah, so there's a bunch of crazy deaths on there. I couldn't even watch them. But there was a bunch of videos on there about the Wuhan virus that had leaked out. And you saw police coming to doors and saying, there was one I watched that these Chinese police came to the door and said, you listed or you posted something online that was out of line with the official story, and you are going to delete that and then put out a retraction that you were wrong and that the official statement is right, or you're going to be in legal trouble with us. You're going to be in criminal trouble with us. And there was an article put out that China had told its people, if you report anything in the official story, you're looking at 3 to 7 years. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's all true. So it's something that is definitely we're not being told the full story on, and it tie it all back around. I don't think I'm going to read all of this right now, but you tie this all back around to, if I can get the right screen, there we go. You tie this all back around to kind of what I started out with, censorship, man. It's hard to know what the real story is. And because of these countries, including our own, that crack down and lock down on these stories. And that is why they also, big tech wants to censor people like me. Not that I'm breaking any new big ground, or all these other content providers. They want to censor us. They want to censor them because they were the gatekeepers of truth and information for decades. And now with technology, everybody can do their own research and reach, a significant amount of people. And then that spreads, to pardon the pun, virally through people, and it's hard to control. So the best way to do that is we shut people down that we don't want the narrative that is the wrong narrative getting out there. We shut those people down. And that's why my channel's doing what it's doing, and why I'm here is I like to talk about these things, and I like to share my perspective on them, hence the name of the channel. And I'm going to always do, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more articles, but it's getting a little late for me. I've been streaming almost an hour. I'm going to cover these probably tomorrow. I'll probably do another live stream earlier in the evening tomorrow. But it's, that's why it's important for us to do what we're doing, and for you guys to support us, not financially necessarily. I don't even ask for that right now. I'm not at that point where I'm organized to, but if you guys want to, great. But just sharing it and coming back, bookmarking the channel, putting the notifications on, and joining the Discord. Again, let me put my Discord up here for the people that are, if I still have it in there, please come join my Discord. So if you don't know how to do it, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a video of how to join Discord, because I have some people that aren't the most technically, inclined, that watch my stuff, and they just know YouTube. So Discord, once you're in there, it's such a great place to be, because we can all chat, we can all share ideas. And then I want my audience to start saying, hey, let's talk about this, and throwing this up. And I have a spot for links for news topics, and I have, kind of cool stuff, just whatever, memes, because I do meme time, and that's always fun to do. But it's important for us to stay together and to grow. And for you guys that are here, all, 10, 12, whatever, throughout, I think I have throughout all the different ones watching right now, probably 15 people. It's important for you guys to share and say, hey, if you like what I'm doing, tell other people to come over, and make sure you're watching for the notifications and you're joining in, because let's share out the information and let's learn together. Milo is going to, he and I are going to start doing some more stuff. He's got a lot of deep dive information on this stuff, which I'm excited to. Oh, sweet! We just got one. Just joined. Can I get a heal? Glad to have you, Quincy C. You just joined the Discord. I'm really glad to have you here. Quincy C. in the Discord? Can you throw up there where you came from? I'm curious to know where was it, D Live, Twitch, or YouTube? And I like to. I want to grow my Discord, because their Discord seems to be pretty censorship free, and so if YouTube ever decides just to X me, I'd like to bring as many of my people that that watch my stuff on YouTube and on D Live or on wherever, bring them all into one spot so we all know what we're doing. I'll also put notifications up in there, and when I'm going live and all this stuff, and it's a better way to just communicate with one another. That's by voice and stop being misunderstood via text. There's a lot of ways to read. Also, we can discuss by voice and stop being misunderstood via text. I know I haven't used the voice yet on Discord. That's another cool thing, is that we can have I think you can have up to 12 or something. I don't know how many people you can have in there, but exactly, it's you can do voice chat rooms or whatever, where we all talk, and so it's just a cool place. I'm still learning about Discord myself, actually. So yeah, so whoever the Quincy C is, if you don't mind even throwing up in the chat, either D Live, Twitch, or Facebook, YouTube. You can throw in there too. I'd like to know where Quincy came from. I'm just curious, but anyways, guys, I appreciate it. This wasn't a I didn't have my, and I also am going to start going to a more discussion format a little bit. I like reading my news articles, but I think I'm going to start writing out points and just doing a little more flowing and talking about stuff, and then putting stuff up that, correlates to what I'm talking about, but really just creating more of a kind of a podcast. I don't know if it's podcast. I don't know what you're going to call it, but whatever we call it, where it isn't just me reading an article and reacting. I'm still going to do that, but I kind of want to have some just long form discussions too, where it's we bounce stuff off of the chat and whatnot. So, anyways, let me just read who we got here. We got Milo. He's chatting in here, but YouTube people don't see him. But he's in the Discord, and then we got Skills of the Gun from D Live, and then Richo's in here, or was in here. He might still be in here, and we got Paula Jenkins. I'm trying to see who else I haven't shouted out yet. Patriot 89D, only 4. I don't know what that means. We had Rob in here, but Rob took off, and we had Dunn and Mohammed Aloha Snack Bar, which is a good friend of mine. I like Aloha. He's fun. And we have Native Texans here, too, from D-Live. He's like, hey, I want to get a shout-out, bro. I'm here. I appreciate it, Native. I appreciate all you guys that hung out with me. It was just kind of a last-minute stream, and we don't have a ton of people in here, but whatever. I'm going to just start speaking my mind, and I'm worried that might drop some people off, and other people are going to like what I have to say and are going to stick around and spread the word, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm not worried. I'm not going to worry so much whose toes I'm stepping on. I support our president, but as I'm getting into this really deep state stuff, if I see stuff that he does that I think is kind of deep statey, I'm going to call it out. I don't like his stand. I wish his stance on war would be more of what he campaigned on, getting us out of war. But having all, I'm still going to vote for the guy. I'm still excited to vote for him, and it's going to be an absolute freaking slacking on the left. It's gonna be fun to see what happens on the barring obviously that he America first, barring the fact that he doesn't get off. That I pray for. I pray that doesn't happen. And I don't want to sound like I'm like, what else do they have? What else do they have to stop Trump at this point? I'm sure they're going to try to throw a lot more stuff at him, but none of it. They've been so exposed with their line and their agenda of just wanting him out that I don't think that's going to stick. So it worries me. I'll be honest, and maybe I'm totally wrong on that, and I hope I am. But I worry that the next step is somebody that's just going to be like, knock him off. So anyways, guys, I'm going to jump off now. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I'm going to probably jump on. There's some articles I want to cover tomorrow night. I've been wanting to cover them for a good week. Like, I wanted to touch on this article. It says migrants say they'll wait Trump's presidency out. They could be waiting a while before they come over, right? We touched on that one. This one, British academics produce research indicating that fetus may feel pain at 13 weeks. Wow. And this one, just as the health rangers predicted, big tech is now declaring war on gays to satisfy the trans. They're eating themselves, not in the way that they're normally used to eating themselves, if you know what I mean. The trans are going after the gays because the gays are bigots, apparently. It's just, you can't make this shit up, I swear. And then I want to touch more on this whole thing. Jeffrey Epstein's mystery bank came alive after his death. So there was like $5 million or something that just today, and yet $12 million to Southern County, according to. So Epstein's death, his estate transferred more than $12 million to Southern Country, according to a court document. On Tuesday, a court hearing in the Virgin Islands on motions involving Mr. Epstein's estate, a magistrate judge, Carolyn Herman Priza, questioned the estate's lawyers about the transfer of Southern Country, saying the disclosure was not satisfactory. And so basically, and I want to read more on this. It's too big of an article right now to give. I don't want to just, but basically his money got put into these Virgin Islands and then disappeared. So there was a conspiracy, which I will say this is a conspiracy theory that I don't have a whole lot of proof to confirm on, but that he, is he dead? I don't know. Stranger things could happen. If you want me to believe that, if you're trying to make me believe he actually killed himself, then anything's possible at this point. The dude may not be dead. I kind of think he's dead, but who knows? Who knows? I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. That's just the truth of it. Trump must choose the battles. He can't resist the deep state wants and needs all the time. When he is reelected, he is going to probably start fighting for real. Now we're talking JFK dangerous. Very good point, Milo. Very good point. It's a little Obama-esque. Tell old Vlad that when I, get through my second term, or when my election's done, I can work with him more freely. He did not self-delete. Yeah, he absolutely didn't self-delete. You're right, Native. Richo said, we all said the LGBT would end up eating the other alive. We did. We called it. We've all called it since the beginning, and now it's beginning. It's funny. Joined from D Live. Sorry for the late reply. I was in the wrong Discord channel typing. Sweet, man. Well, I'm glad to have you, Quincy. If you guys... now I got 3 people in D Live watching, man. That's crazy. I think that's the most I've had at one time watching in D Live. I have like 22 followers or something over there now, but if you guys do the D Live thing and you're in other channels that you think would like my stuff, please share it out with them, because I'd love to pull as many. D Live's a cool place. I would love to eventually, just so everybody knows, I would eventually like to be streaming over there full time, because then I can say whatever I want to say. I can just be me and I don't got to worry about anything. I have been waiting for this. Well, Milo, I'm looking forward to us getting to know each other a little bit better, not in a weird way, but and then talking about this stuff, because I used to be deep down everyone knew me. My nieces would be like, what's your conspiracy theory now? I was deep into the chemtrails, into the HARP, and to 9/11, and I have a really cool killer presentation on 9/11, on the moon. Everyone knows that. I don't think we went to the moon, and it might be... Payplay might be watching on Twitch, and he disagrees with me on that, but we're still friends, and I still appreciate him. But anyways, I want to go deep on 9/11. I want to go deep on the banking industry. I want to go deep on all of these things and talk about them, because I think it's what is really interesting and fun to talk about, and I think it's really legit. And so that's what... No, Milo, we didn't go to the moon. You're still my friend, but we didn't go to the moon, man. We didn't go to the moon, dude. I disagree with you on that one. I disagree with you on that one. But we can get into that on a different thing, a different day. And then Laurel Canyon. That's another one by, I can't think of the guy's name right now that I've been following for the, it doesn't matter. I'll say it later. But there's a whole lot of these fun things we're going to talk about that I think matter. And we're still going to touch on news topics, daily stuff that's breaking. But I think what we really want to do is focus not on the branches of the tree, but let's start getting down into the roots of the tree. That's the analogy I'm looking at. People are always looking at pruning branches and pruning leaves off of a tree. But really where you need to go is you need to get down into the root and find out where those roots are at. And that's what I want to start doing. And I think it'll be fun. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, guys, I am going to jump out of here. I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, D Live and Twitch and YouTube friends. We will see you soon. And without fear or animus, it's SJG Perspective. We'll talk to you later. Have a good night. Bye.